Active transport mechanisms are those that require the cell to use a cellular energy to move a substance across the cell membrane. We will look at 3 examples of these mechanisms: the active transport process, phagocytosis, and pinocytosis. Active transport is the uphill movement of a substance through a living cell membrane. In other words, this movement is from a lower to a higher concentration. The energy required for this movement up a concentration gradient is obtained from ATP. A specialized cellular component called the ion pump makes possible a number of active transport mechanisms. An ion pump is a protein structure in the cell membrane. The ion pump uses energy from ATP to actively move ions across cell membranes against their concentration gradient. Why is it necessary to pump certain substances? Because the amount of some substances in the cell is already so great, the only way to move additional substances into the cell is to pump them in. Watch as a cell that normally contains a large amount of potassium ions, or K-positive, receives additional potassium ions by means of a pump. To achieve this pumping uphill mechanism, energy must be expended and is provided by ATP. Phagocytosis is another example of how a cell can use its active transport mechanism to move an object or substance through the plasma membrane and into the cytoplasm. The term phagocytosis comes from a Greek word meaning to eat. During this process, the cell membrane forms a pocket around the material to be moved into the cell, and by the expenditure of energy from ATP, the object is moved to the interior of the cell, where it fuses with a lysosome and is thus eaten and destroyed. Pinocytosis is an active transport mechanism used to incorporate fluids or dissolved substances into cells by trapping them in a pocket of plasma membrane that pinches off inside the cell. Pinocytosis comes from the Greek word meaning drink. It may help you to remember this mechanism if you think of it as cellular drinking.